Hey, welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time seeing me this year, then Happy New Year. Technically, this is my second video of 2022, but this is a resolutions-based video, so I guess it's still relevant, kinda. In my last video, I talked about my New Year's resolutions, but they're almost all very personal to me. They're building on actually my last video, 2021, where I talked about sort of mental blocks I've been having and why I haven't been uploading content as much, and yeah. If you want more information, go check out that video. But this set of resolutions are different. This is based more around my degree, the academic side. I want to get the most out of my degree to put me in the best possible place I can be for applying for PhDs and going on to do that in the second half of 2023. There are timestamps down in the video description below, so you can jump ahead to whatever resolution you think is probably most interesting to you, but this set of resolutions in general will probably have a more wider audience appeal than my personal ones from my last video. Cool. So my first academic resolution of 2022 is to apply for PhDs. I'm going to cover this one briefly because I've covered it in my last video on my more personal ones, but it's academic, so I'm going to include it here too. Currently, I'm in my fourth year of a 5-year integrated master's degree, which means by the time we get to the second half of 2022, I'm going to be in my 5th and final year. Now, since I want to apply to several European universities, I'm going to have to start doing PhD applications in the first semester of my 5th year. The deadline is normally earlier for European universities. Now, it's a given that I'll be applying for them. The thing that makes this resolution more challenging is that I actually want to be applying for projects I actually care about at universities that excite me. This is all in my last video. I'm just saying it here for anyone who hasn't seen that. Also, I mentioned in my last video that currently I'm looking at a few different universities for a PhD, nothing set in stone yet, but currently on the short list is Leiden in the Netherlands, Heidelberg in Germany, and Oxford and Cambridge in England. If anyone has insights on these universities, especially of the astrophysics departments, please do get in touch, either comment down below or in the description. You'll be able to find ways to contact me by email, social media, whatever. I'd love some insight from people because with the current global panini, it's kind of hard to go and visit. Resolution number 2 is to get more research under my belt if possible. If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know that last summer I did a project with one of the academics in the School of Physics and Astronomy at St Andrews. I was simulating supernova explosions, and I promised that that video was coming, the one that I explained what I was doing and how I did it and what I learned. Anyway, I loved that experience, and it should be pretty evident from the last resolution that I want to go and do research, and like any other job, having a bit of experience in it before you go and start applying for things is quite useful. So I'd like to get some more research experience before I finish up with my time in St Andrews. Currently, I'm looking into a few internships, including one at the Institute of Astronomy in Cambridge, because I think it'd be great to go and work there for like 8 weeks, so really get a feel for the place. Given it's on my shortlist for PhD, I'd like to know if I want to spend 4 years there, 3-4 years there, whatever it is. So yeah, I want to get some more research under my belt. This one isn't a given, but I'm going to do my best to get some. Even if it's just a short project in St Andrews, I want to have a bit more experience of doing research. Resolution number 3. Read more academic papers. Now, this is partially an academic resolution, but it's also partially a YouTube one. I want to make more science videos for you guys because I find it really interesting to look into a topic and condense it down into a video format. I also love sharing science with you, and to do that and to do it well, I feel like I need to read more papers. The science video that I'm proudest of is probably my video about why there are lakes on Titan and how we know about that. Now, this is actually a video I adapted from a talk that I gave for one of my modules, but this means that it was meticulously researched. I read so many papers for this one video, and I'm really proud of it. Now, I'd like to do more. I'd like to do more videos like that, but that's going to involve reading more academic papers to distill it down, reading more first sources. It's also an academic resolution though, funnily enough, they're academic papers. I want to go and do a PhD, and part of that is being able to read papers, take out the key messages, skip over the things that aren't actually that relevant to what you're doing, and most importantly, tell the difference between a good paper and a bad paper, because you have to be able to write them if you want to go into academia. So, looking towards PhD, as well as looking at my YouTube channel, I want to read more papers. Now, I'm not going to set any sort of numbered target, because anyone who's tried to read an academic paper, especially a scientific one, knows that you don't read the whole thing. You might read the abstract, the conclusions, the results bit, perhaps, but chances are you're not really going to read every single bit of the methods. but I'd like to try and take an hour or two every couple of weeks to read some papers and actually make some progress with both getting my scientific literacy up in terms of the academic side, but also working towards making better videos for you guys, because I like talking about science, shock horror. I've put it in a resolution because I really want to do it. Resolution number 4. Learn some better coding practices. Now, something that you might not know about astronomy and astrophysics if you're not in the field is that it's an incredibly computationally intensive field. Now, this is whether you're dealing with telescope data, where you'll be using computers and coding to distill down the data and to analyse it and actually produce your plots, or if you're on more the simulation side, the side that I'm interested in, you'll be using computers to codify the laws of physics and explore things on timescales that we just can't observe. Things that happen over thousands, if not millions of years, that we have to simulate because we can't observe them. We're not going to be around that long. Personally, I'd say that my coding isn't terrible. I have my own style, everyone does. Personally, I go for quite a modular style. I like being able to slot things in and out. It makes things easier to troubleshoot. You add in a subroutine and suddenly all your numbers go to 0. You know there's a problem with that subroutine. If you take one out and suddenly all your numbers that were 0 now aren't, you know it's that one that's wrong. So I quite like having quite modular code. However, I quite often code during my study streams over on twitch.tv/inversion_sci, and one of my mods, along with quite a few people in the community, are computer scientists, and cringe quite a lot at my code. So yeah, my aim is to try and make them cringe less, so that's what I'm going to aim to do in 2022. I'm going to try and improve my coding, learn some better practices, to just have it be less spaghetti code, and also slightly more optimised, because the stuff I wrote back in the summer probably wasn't that optimised, given that the simulations took 17 hours on the supercomputer. So yeah, that wasn't great. I'm sure this will be of much relief to my computer science Twitch mod. I suppose the first thing I should probably work out is version control, because I'm really not good at that. So that ends probably the first section of these resolutions. They're the ones that are more geared towards getting into academia, improving things for the long term. Now I'm going to get onto my resolutions that are slightly more short term, the things that might be of more interest to somebody who's currently at university and looking to improve things this year. So, what is resolution number 5? Well, resolution number 5 is to get ahead, not behind. Something I've always been fairly guilty of at university is getting behind on work. I think it's pretty easy to get into that mentality of, oh, the exams are ages away, or oh, that coursework isn't due for another 2 weeks, I don't need to do it now. And then when it comes to doing the work, it takes you longer, or there's more work piled up, or just you don't know how to do it, or you've forgotten something that you should have known because you would have done the work earlier. And then you end up in this cycle of catching up on one thing while getting further behind on the other. And this is a cycle that I am determined to stop, or at least limit this year. Now, there are 2 subsequent resolutions, 6 and 7, that are going to be servicing this overall goal. But given this is the overall goal, I wanted to give it its own resolution. So this is the main goal, to get ahead on work, not fall behind on it. Now, resolution number 6 is going to allow me to do that. And resolution number 6 is to be more proactive in my studying. Of the 2 resolutions stemming from resolution number 5, this is probably the most important of the 2. The second will somewhat follow on from this one, so if I can get this one right, then the other one will follow, and then resolution number 5 will hopefully follow as well. I've been incredibly guilty of just doing the bare minimum of work, you know, doing the lectures and just assuming I'll remember it, doing only the hand-in questions for a tutorial sheet, and just then I'll do the rest of when it comes to studying for the revision period, and this needs to stop. If I'm going to get ahead, I have to be more proactive. When I finish a lecture, I need to come back to it. I need to spend time writing up the notes in a way that is neat and reinforces it in my brain. I need to pick out the key ideas from that as well. And I need to do this on all of my lectures within like a 24 to 48 hours after I've watched the lecture for the first time. Not waiting until the 2 weeks revision period and then doing it all at once. I get by doing that, but it's hell and really not as effective. So what I'm going to try and do is reinforce my knowledge more proactively, more consistently throughout the semester. I'm also going to try and do some more reading around the topic, reading from textbooks and reading from academic papers, because by the time you've got to this point in the degree, a lot of what you're doing is very cutting edge in terms of the research that's going on in the school and in other universities around the world. It's not stuff that's been tackled for 50 years a lot of the time. So doing more reading to get a real base understanding of what I'm supposed to know for these modules is important. It's what I'm going to try and do this year. Hopefully, if I can do all of that, then I'll put myself in a better position for applying for PhDs in academic year 2022-23, and it will also lead on quite nicely to resolution number 7, increase the number of hours worked. This is likely to follow on from the last one because, funnily enough, doing more studying is going to increase the number of hours that I'm working. Over the last semester, I'd estimate that my typical week, on a given day, I'm probably doing somewhere between 4 and 5 hours of work, and then you get to sort of hellish weeks in the middle of the semester around class tests, and the end of the semester for exams, where it's more like double to triple that because I'm behind and I need to catch up. That's not healthy, it's not sustainable, and it needs to stop. This semester, I want to get the overall number of hours that I'm working up, probably around the 50 hours a week mark overall. Now, I don't think this is going to be easy, but I think it is achievable. Now, I've talked in my video titled I'm Lost at the end of 2021 that I need to fix my sleep schedule, and that's the important thing, because I find it quite difficult to work after my dinner, but if I can fix my sleep schedule and get working at maybe 8, then I can get a lot more work in before dinner and work more consistently, and that will help with this lack of time spent on physics that I had last semester. Now, I don't know if I'm right about aiming for 50 hours a week. I might be overestimating that, but we'll be doing a catch-up for these resolutions in the middle of the year, so June, July time. So by that point, I will have finished this semester, and I can tell you, did that turn out to be something that worked for me? Or is it something I'm going to have to readjust or will have readjusted at that point? I don't know. But make sure to subscribe for that and hit the bell icon so you don't miss those catch-ups when they come. And then you've got all my other videos between now and then. Now, resolution number 8 is to take more regular breaks. Taking breaks is essential for everyone, whether you're a physicist, a mathematician, a history major, whatever you're doing, and it's something that I can be really terrible at. I'm bad at taking breaks. I'm very good at not working, but that's more because I don't start. Once I get started, I tend to barrel through till tea time, and that's not great. Like I was saying for resolution number 7, I want to work more consistently this semester, and part of that is building in regular breaks to sort of reinforce in my mind that this is something to look forward to, but that outside of these strictly set times, I should be working. It's all about going for consistency. This should help my anxiety, which can come from a lack of structure. And when I say take more regular breaks, I'm talking about maybe taking a half hour in the morning for a cup of tea and to read a book for a little bit, or to take a break for an hour in the afternoon and play some piano, something like that. What I'm not talking about is the Pomodoro Technique. That brings us on quite well to resolution number 9, which is I want to rely less on the Pomodoro Technique to save my ass. Now let me get this out of the way before I even start on this resolution. I love the Pomodoro Technique. It's great and it works really well for me. It's great for motivating me to do work at the times when I really don't want to but need to. And it has saved my ass so many times. It has done so since my first semester at university. That being said, I don't want to rely on it all the time. I'm definitely not going to stop using it altogether. I like my Pomodoro streams on Twitch, I find them really useful, and so does my audience. And when I really need that kick of accountability, it works. It really does work. What I don't want it to become, though, is a crutch, and that's kind of what it felt like it was becoming at the end of last semester, that I needed to use the Pomodoro Technique to get myself to actually do any work. So that's what I want to stop. I don't want to be reaching for the Forest app every morning, and on the mornings that I do find myself reaching for it, I don't really want to be using the Pomodoro Technique for more than an hour. After that, it should only be used for tracking how much time I spend studying, and those regular breaks I talked about in resolution number 8 will do the better job at regulating my study, rather than using a timer with a 5-minute break at the end of it. Again, I'm not saying that the Pomodoro Technique is bad. It can work really well for me, as it works really well for so many people. I want to be able to work well without it, and that's why it's on my resolution list this year. Now, you were probably expecting a 10th resolution, weren't you? Well, tough luck. 9 is enough, I think, and those are my 9 academic resolutions for 2022. I think a lot of them are quite applicable to a lot of people, and if you think you're going to try and embrace any of these, do let me know down in the comments below. If you have your own set of academic resolutions, or even just resolutions of your own, please put them in the comment section below. It'd be great to see what people are up to this year. If you're new, make sure you have subscribed and hit the bell icon so you don't miss my future videos, especially those check-ins on these resolutions later in the year, because I need the accountability. That's why I'm telling you guys what my resolutions are. And if you're looking for something else to watch, then maybe you should go and watch my personal resolutions video that came out last week. But in the meantime though, thank you very much for watching, and I wish you all the best of luck for 2022 and for your own New Year's resolutions if you have them. See ya!